Ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls all over the world and all over the BW Sports One network. Welcome to Just a Bit Outside. We're doing a little switch up here today. Matt had to take the day off, so I'm going to try my best to fill in for him. I'm Quigs, John Faber over here. It's a two-man show today, John. How do you think we're going to go about this?
We'll find out.
We're going to find out. Just our favorite type of show, off the rails and off the cuff, and let's just get one thing out of the way. You ready, John?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hit that play button.
Dodgers will win the World Series if
we play a full season and there is a postseason.
What?
Wait.
We are winning the World Series in 2022.
So,
but I know where you're going with that.
No,
we're winning the World Series this year. Put it on record.
You are winning the
World
Series.
Put it on record.
We are winning the World Series. That's our focus. That's our goal. But to your question,
I will take statements that didn't age well for 2000, Alex. The Dodgers do not advance to the World Series. The Dodgers, in fact, lose to the San Diego Padres. John, the most winning team in the regular season's out of the playoffs. Like, what's up with that?
It's been a wild postseason, man. I mean, you think about it, and you got a lot of underachieving teams. You've got a lot of teams that probably people didn't expect to take their respective series based on their play in the regular season. But look, go back to the beginning of the season. If you would have told me the Padres and Dodgers, especially when the Padres made those moves at the trade deadline, you feel like it's a pretty fair matchup. After you play the whole season and you see what the Dodgers do with their run differential, their win-loss record, a little bit surprising still, but it's the playoffs, man. In baseball, all you got to do is get in. You got a couple of good pitchers. You got a decent bullpen. You got a couple of guys who can get hot, and anything can happen.
Anything can happen. It's the 2021, 22, 22. I don't know. It's like I said, we're a little bit off the rails today. So one wild card team has advanced to the NLCS, knocking off the number one seed. And don't know if you saw it, John, but there was a stat out there that the largest, difference between winning records, 22 games between the Padres and the Dodgers. And it's the biggest span of wins between two teams to get eliminated in the playoffs since like 1906. So
yeah. The Dodgers played a heck of a regular season and all for naught, right? So I don't know. It's crazy, man. But
it's playoff baseball, man.
Look,
anything can happen.
Does anybody want to play the Padres right now?
They're definitely a hot team, but we know another team that's going to have to play the Padres. But we'll touch on that here a little bit. I want to we'll hold off. We'll hold off on the song. We're gonna wait for the song because the Padres are not dancing by themselves just yet, but they are, I think, right now one of the teams to beat. And who would have thought, too, that the two bottom wild card teams would be going into the championship series?
All you got to do is get in, man. Postseason baseball is crazy, right? I feel like it's harder to predict in a lot of ways than a lot of other sports, right? Basketball, you got a pretty good idea about those matchups, right? But baseball, man, it's a long season, and you got a lot of streaky teams, and you got to be a team that's streaking at the right time, right? No alternate meaning beyond that. But look, starting pitching, bullpen, and a couple of guys get hot, right? And any squad who gets in the playoffs has that. It's just a matter of if the things are clicking at the right time. And we're seeing teams who people might not have expected to have those to be firing on all cylinders do it when they need to.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up just some stats from last night's game here, because if I remember correctly, it was 3-3 going late, and then Jake Cronenworth comes through and gets an extra base hit to score his teammate, and and turns out that's all she wrote. And if the old adage is true, you just got to get hot at the right time. Doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Apparently, Aaron Judge is the same way too. Doesn't matter what you did then. It matters what you did for me lately. But Padres advance and move on to the NLCS to meet a very familiar team that we know all too well. And as a Philadelphia fan, I know last week I came out 100% bias, 100% against the Mets, 100% Philadelphia is going to run through playoff baseball. Red October runs through Philadelphia. And it continues. And it continues.
I mean,
Philadelphia.
Like you said, man, I mean, you look at the lineup at the beginning of the season and you look at the expectations, and I mean, Philly should have been competing for a playoff spot based on what they had on paper to start the season. The moves they made at the deadline, none of which were major, but they are paying dividends big time. Brandon Marsh, Exhibit A, right? The managerial change, obviously a big one, right? But you got a couple of really stout arms. I mean, Nola Wheels are pitching lights out, right? Ranger gets you enough. You got Thor now that you can pitch for a little ways. And then you still have Falter, who's a decent arm. And then the bullpen has been, for all the crap that the bullpen's taken for the last couple of seasons, it's come through big time. Harper's earning every penny of his contract. Castellanos, who's had a really streaky year, is starting to play hit the ball decently. Hoskins, of course, had some up and down, but had a heck of a home run there, right? So, I mean, you got a team that's got the lineup, man. There's no easy part of that lineup right now. And they're hot at the right time, man. Nobody wants to play them either.
I mean, who would have thought that a Joe Girardi-led team that was under 500 hurt? How do I even want to phrase this? Performing so below expectations that they fire him. And back then, we're all thinking, season's over. Rob Thompson, like, come on. I mean, the guy's been everywhere, but he's never been the guy. But then Philly Rob emerges, and Philly Rob leads this team without Harper, struggling lineups all over, lets the kids play, lets the bullpen flourish. They send down Alvarado, who is now their best reliever out of the bullpen, possibly besides Dominguez. And it's a complete 180 from where they were. And 3 months ago, if you told me Philadelphia was going to the championship series to have a chance to go to the World Series against a hot Padres team, first of all, if you told me it was Padres, Phillies in the championship series, I would have called you crazy. But I love being wrong. I love it when I'm wrong.
In this case.
So let me
Something,
see here.
something I want to get your opinion on. I think it'll be interesting. I know we want to get to some other series, but a lot of talk about the layoff for these teams who had buys, right? And how they performed, and how much of a factor do you think it is when you have those days off and your, pitchers are colder and your batters are colder, and I mean, look at the results; they speak for themselves.
I mean, I did hear a little bit about that, but I think it's only one extra day they got. It's only one extra day between when the wild card series actually ended and then the gap between like those games plus when the next series started. I think it was only one game. Like they all had off like 3 or 4 days beforehand last year. So I'm not sure.
I just mean the teams playing in the
you're talking
wild card.
You're talking about
right,
the break for the teams that had the bye.
Yeah, exactly, and how they fared. At least relatively, right? I mean, the Braves did not fare very well, right? Yankees haven't played very well, right? Dodgers haven't played very well.
All of the 100-win teams have a chance to not. Well, the Astros, did the Astros win 100?
Good question.
Let's see here. Yeah, you can tell this show's a little bit off the rails here already.
Yeah, 106 games they won.
So they're the lone 100-game regular season winners left.
Mm-hmm.
After they just eliminated Seattle. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But Philadelphia knocking off the Cardinals. And if you look at the list of the power rankings from the beginning of the playoffs, Philadelphia dead last in the power rankings. They've knocked off, I believe, the number 6 power ranked team and possibly the number 3 or 4, depending where they had the
power
Braves.
rankings don't determine games. I hate power rankings. They're stupid.
Yeah, and touching on our other favorite Philadelphia team, how can an unbeaten team be number 3 in the power rankings?
Well, who cares?
But anyway, Philadelphia comes through. Red October continues to exist. Bring on the Padres, and we'll get into predictions and everything later on this show. We're just going to kind of focus on what happened. The weekend was crazy. Philadelphia, I think, partially burnt. It didn't literally burn down, but I feel like some of it may have. Did you see any of the clips from Harper and crew at Xfinity Live?
Yeah,
after the
I
game,
saw a bunch of selfies with Brandon Marsh and all kinds of stuff, man. That's listen, man. The Phillies been a lot of ups and downs this season, from the play on the ballpark and the fans, and stretches where the stadium did not look like it was 10% filled, right? But when this team's winning, man, the city comes out. And the same thing goes, I mean, look at the Guardians. Like, that stadium, they couldn't pay people to come watch that team as good as they were all season. And last night, you wouldn't know that, right? Things were crazy in the land.
There was even people at work,
Right.
you know, watching. I guess they knew someone who was there, and she comes over and goes, "Where is this?" I said, "That's Philadelphia." She's like, "When was it?" I'm like, "That's right now. That's what I'm watching on my phone here." It's just, I didn't think people got this hyped about baseball. I'm like, playoff baseball is a whole different animal.
It is, man, and Philly hasn't had it for 11 years.
Ugh.
You know, it's
And you could
Well,
tell.
I do want to touch on the Guardians Yankees series, right? So
Yeah, let's go to that. So we can.
It's not over yet. All right,
Not over yet, but
Game
what's
3
going
winners,
on?
I think, win 70% of the series. I'll tell you what's going on. All right, this is not a secret. The Yankees are probably the most overrated baseball team in history. All right,
Ooh.
Aaron Judge, they live and die by Aaron Judge, and I don't care what anybody says. Hitting and playing in that ballpark is a huge advantage, a massive advantage, right? That tiny little the batter's heaven ballpark, right? I mean, look, the Garrett Cole is not a big game pitcher. He's going today, I think, right? And I would not be. No,
You're not putting your money.
no.
The man who put money on Aaron Nola to have 6+ strikeouts and Phillies money line.
Listen, man,
won that one, so you're not gonna put those winnings into the Yankees.
No, absolutely not. No, the Guardians are a young team, man. I think I was talking to our one friend, Sean's a big Guardians fan, and he said I don't think they have a single player on their roster over 28 years old.
No, they are by
Incredibly
median
young.
age the youngest team in the majors.
Yeah, and their closer is amazing.
Yeah,
Clase is just
on
amazing,
fire.
dude. Amazing.
And speaking of elite closers too, now that we'll just talk about the Yankees here now. How many more strikes is Aaron Boone, or how much more leash is Aaron Boone going to get? He has an all-star closer sitting in his bullpen in a closing situation, and he doesn't bring him in. Just going around on Twitter, just trying, because I didn't get to catch the end of that game. I was watching all of the Astros game in that 18-inning madness.
I want to share a stat with you. Just came across my plate before we get off the topic.
Hit us.
The New York Yankees were 167-0 in postseason history when leading by multiple runs entering the 9th inning until last night. Wow.
That's Aaron Boone's stamp on the Yankee legacy, is trying to play for tomorrow when you need to play for today.
Yeah.
And
well, you know what? That burned the Braves too. I mean, at the time, it seemed like it, right? That they should have pitched Morton earlier. But when you saw what Morton did, I don't know about that, right? But you figure, like, the game planning that Schneider was doing was planning out, anticipating, the next game, and not the one game. In playoff baseball, you put all your eggs in one basket, man. You win the games you got in front of you.
The biggest
especially
thing a lot
early
of teams
on.
go for. Yeah, and I don't think it was necessarily a bad call to start Strider that game against Philadelphia. The only thing going against that is he hadn't thrown in a live game in a month.
Yeah.
And if you look at his fastball speeds between the first inning and then when Hoskins clubbed that home run, it's a 5-mile-per-hour difference.
He got shell shocked, man. You could see it in his face. Like, he was just
he's
a young kid, man. And you come in that ballpark and, like, I mean, they hit 3 straight pitches of his. They cranked, right? Like, consecutive pitches, not bad, or like 1, 2, 3.
It was right? 5 pitches and like 5 runs, not consecutive runs, but like 5 hits in a row.
I think it was 3 pitches and 3 consecutive hits.
Something
rally or something like that. Yes, I mean they got a hold of it. When that happens, man, that crowd's all on you. A young kid, I'm sure he'll be good as in the long run, but you can't. I don't care who you are, man. With that little experience going into that ballpark and having that happen to you, man, it's gonna rattle you. It definitely is.
The Braves lost and Philadelphia mocks the chop.
Well, and Charlie Morton made it 2 innings. I don't know if they pulled him because of getting hit a little bit or what it was, but I mean he literally pitched 2 innings.
Yeah, once he gave up that home run to Marsh, it was pretty over.
Yeah.
But touching back on the Yankees here too, even to draw the comparison, the two different ideologies. Philly Rob is sitting there in a decisive game. He's going to throw anyone he has. He threw Hand back-to-back days. He threw Alvarado back-to-back days. This time going 2 innings. Eflin pitched more than an inning. Dominguez came into the end to close it. So he knows right there, you've got your foot on the opponent's throat. You got to finish them off. You don't let them breathe.
Life, right? You have a couple days of rest to get your guys back.
Yeah.
Right?
And then Aaron Boone, on the other hand, decides to save his all-star closer, who the closer expected he was going in. Everybody in the media thought he was going in. Even Yankee teammates of his thought he was going in because of such an obvious save situation. And Aaron Boone, no, I'm just going to let my guys rest, and that could be the series. And if I trust Garrett Cole, I trust Garrett Cole. I know you don't, but
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he hasn't lived up to his contract, and in a lot of big games, he hasn't come through historically. Right, the one game he pitched for the Pirates in the postseason. What happened?
Yeah, but that was the Pirates.
Still, man, he was pitching. You can control your pitching, right? That's what, as a pitcher, that's what you control. You can't control your run support. You can control how you pitch the ball.
But then the same could be said for Cole in all of the Houston games when he was down there. Now, given credit, he may not have been. We might be a step or two below Garrett Cole in Houston, but it's still Garrett Cole. And when the season's on the line, I'm still going to give it to my ace. So
of course, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if I'm a Yankees fan, and I'm not because I'm not a bandwagoner, and I don't live in one of the boroughs of New York City, but
one of the 30.
Yeah, I think it's the 5 boroughs, isn't it? 5 or 6 boroughs. I don't know. Never claimed. I've never been there once in my life. Never claimed to be a Yankees fan.
Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, Manhattan. Did I say Brooklyn already?
You didn't say Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
I think that's it.
I don't know. I'm not.
Regardless. I always like to goad Yankees fans for being bandwagoners, unless they're actually in New York City. I get that, but otherwise, whatever. Right. So, but I mean, I get it. Like, you probably give him the edge with Cole. If Cole pitches to what he can pitch, and he has in the past in some not as big situations, then absolutely you give him the edge. But I don't know. I'm not sold on him in a big moment coming through big, right? I mean, look at what Scherzer did. Right?
Now, depending the end of this matchup too. I know I said before we're not going to touch on predictions, but one thing we need to remember to touch on next show is where's Aaron Judge going to end up?
It depends on how the series goes, man. He was 0 for 8 before. He had that home run last night, so that saved him a little bit. But I mean, he's not like I don't know, man. I don't know. What's he going to command?
A lot of money, and we can touch on that in the next show. So, game 4. Keep an eye out on that.
I think this is a huge game for Judge's future and how he performs in an elimination situation. If he goes 0 for 4.
Oh, he's getting signed no matter what.
He's going to get signed. It's just a matter of like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I just find that funny. The guy that has done how many different, or just had such the incredible regular season that he had, and lo and behold, the Yankee fans are booing him in the playoffs. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
We already touched on the Padres a little bit. Manny Machado shirtless, with David Ortiz, that whole TBS interview, that was pretty comical.
Yeah.
Philadelphia's in Xfinity Live, champagne bottles going. And then, unfortunately, you had Seattle get swept.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
The only sweep to happen. So and
to go down the way it did.
Yeah, I mean, 18 innings they had
scoreless.
They had chances. They tried everything, and it sucks. But they're a team that's going to be hanging around for a while.
I mean, not every team can be like a Cinderella, have one of these runs that we're not expecting out of, like a team like the Phillies or something like that, right? So you get in, and you can't expect magic. Every team can't have a magical run, right? But you're right; they'll be around for a while. They're not going anywhere.
No, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
So We got Philadelphia and the Padres going off the NLCS. We've got the Houston Astros advancing, the lone 100 win team left, and to be determined. So you already touched on a little bit there. You don't think the Yankees are going to win this next game? You think it's going Game 5?
Listen, historically, I think the team that wins Game 3 wins 70% of series, right? So, I mean, it's possible, but I'm erring on the side of the Guardians. Momentum is on their side. The Yankees haven't shown me much to think that they are going to bounce back. I think Judge is liable to have another clunker of a game. And, you know, if I'm a betting man, which I am, I'm not going to bet this game by any means, but I would take Guardians probably.
You're taking Guardians. Let's see what time that game's going to.
It's a 7 o'clock game.
7 o'clock today. So, and they're still in Cleveland, right?
Still in the land, my
Still
friend.
in the land.
Still in the
So
land.
Cleveland, they've got that stadium. Did you see the video? Philadelphia had one where a mile away you could still hear the eruption of the crowd. But did you see the one for Cleveland?
Yeah, I did see the one that was the aerial shot from a ways away.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then also in Philadelphia, you had the decibel reader going off on people's phones. Like, it was too loud to stay in there for 90 minutes. Otherwise, you'd have temporary hearing loss.
I think it's like 10 minutes, dude. It's like 95 decibels, something like that. If you're there for more than 10 minutes, it could give you permanent hearing loss.
There we go. So, it was a crazy weekend that happened, John, and I'm all for it, man. Like, this is why this game's beautiful. Anything can happen. Anything did happen, and a lot happened. So, out of everything that went down between all, what's your biggest surprise so far of this off season, or not off season, postseason?
Postseason, it's the Dodgers going down, and I mean relatively easily, I guess, right? I mean that's got to be number one. Look what they did in the regular season, what the expectations were. Padres were a bit of an unknown commodity. Definitely on paper looked good, made some obviously huge moves at the trade deadline, but didn't necessarily expect it to go down like it did. But hey, man, that's why you play the games.
Exactly. So, just wanted to get some things out there. It was a big weekend. Philadelphia advances, and Red October continues, baby. Padres advance, and I saw something here. Let me pull it up. It's going to be interesting. Just you think before with the Padres and what happened with Snell and Harper. You've got the Nola brothers there. Apparently, you've got Luis Garcia and Jorge Floro in San Diego now. So it's a lot of Philly guys playing against the rebuild guys. What do you think about that? We're going to see Luis Garcia and Jorge Floro in a championship series, guys who Philadelphia couldn't win with.
It's an interesting storyline. I mean, you got a lot of those things that you'll see that's kind of the underlying, but I don't think either team cares. They just want to play. They just want to win. It's cursory stuff, right? Same thing in the NBA when you got a lot of like the process players playing against the Sixers and this kind of stuff. I mean, it's an interesting storyline, I guess, and the peripherals, but I don't put much credence into it having any type of impact at all for the actual series.
So you don't think that's not going to do anything there? Do you think it's just going to be another?
It's something to write an article about. It's something to like keep an eye on. But like, dude, every player's out there to play. Like, it doesn't matter if they used to be a Philly or not. It's not like we have any, superstars that were changing sides, right? It's not like it's Harper playing the Nationals or anything like that, right? It's, a couple of cursory names that, we recognize as people have been watching a lot, but 98% of baseball fans wouldn't know who they played for in the past.
That's true. Yeah, that's a little bit of Philly homer there. So I'm excited to see what happens between Phillies and Padres. It's the two hottest teams about to match up. Cleveland still has one more yet to win. I don't think it ends tonight, though. I think we're going to go back to New York. I think we're going to have a Game 5. And, I mean, unless Aaron Boone somehow manages to screw this up again, I think no matter what happens, that game's on Aaron Boone. I don't blame the players on that one at all. That's a managerial flub. You have your all-star closer who was geared up and ready to come in, and Aaron Boone just tells him to rest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020, but you're right. At the time, not a whole lot of people thought that was a prudent move either. So.
Nah. So just wanted to get our comments out there, get our reactions, and I believe later on in the week we're going to come back on with a full crew. We're going to get a little bit more predictions, and hopefully by that time we've got the New York and Cleveland situation all settled out. So until next time, I believe, it's a little short one today, but just wanted to touch on some things that had already happened. So John, it's Red October continues. I know you don't like the song, but play the song Dancing by Myself, and I'm going to be dancing by myself for a while today. So the party still continues. What do you say?
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Phillies country, let's ride.
Phillies country, as cringy as that is. Till next time, guys, for myself, for John, Matt will be back next time here for Just a Bit Outside, everybody at BW Sports 1. Thanks for watching. Check out the sponsors. They've been scrolling below. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you to everybody at the network. Thank you to tuning in, and we'll see you next time.